Have you ever done something or taken a gigantic leap of faith and wondered how on earth you even did that? Or even you're thinking of doing it and you don't know how you're going to get the courage? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today on Carry On Creating. So, taking a leap of faith, I don't think this is something we plan. I don't think this is something people plan. For me, in my life, I've done this a few times, but the most notable would be my move up north. It kind of came from nowhere. I was an Essex girl. I mean, I don't think I was that stereotypical, but if you ask everybody in the north, I'm very Essex, and I think I've got more Essex since moving up. I think my Essex inside me has become defensive because I wear a lot more leopard print now than I think I ever did down south. And I own nothing but gold hoop earrings. And I wear heels all the time. I did that down south, but I wear heels all the time. And essentially, yeah, I'm much more Essex now than I was. But I took a leap of faith when I moved up north because I was at a point where I had no intentions of leaving Essex, none whatsoever. I liked Essex. I wasn't entirely happy work wise because I was working on my new image, I suppose, new styles, new things that I wanted to create. But putting that aside, I liked Essex. I had friends. I had lots of clients who I'd known for many years. I had lots of things there, and I had a house and all sorts of things. So why did I pack everything in the space of 3 or 4 weeks, really, and move up north? Well, it was actually a talk I had with another photographer. It's a fantastic photographer, Pani Kos, who I have been friends with for longer than I can possibly remember. He's one of the first people I ever knew in in the industry. So I can't think exactly when I met him. I know it was probably at the London Portrait Group, as that's where me and Pani often saw each other. So Pani was chatting to me over Chinese, and I was talking about the new styles and things I wanted to do, and how the studio I was currently at wasn't the sort of studio that would do it. I think at the time I was really interested in makeovers and wanting to do almost the Sue Bricey sort of stuff, the makeovers. I was into fashion quite a lot, and the studio I was currently working at was much more lent towards portraiture. And so it was something where I was like, oh, I don't know. And Pani just kind of sat there and went, well, just do it then. Like, just do it. And it sort of hadn't occurred to me that the ball was ever in my court to just change or leave or do something. And he didn't say just quit, but it was along the lines of, well, just, if you're not happy, just do something else. And I was like, blimey, well, all right, I actually can. And don't get me wrong, this wasn't one of these stories of I left my job to go and start my own business and build my way up, because I was never that deluded. I know that most of the time that never works out. You need the support system. You need a lot of things in place to be able to do that. And even, well, now having done this for so long, it's one of the main reasons I have people leave after doing apprenticeships and all sorts of things with us, because they suddenly think they know everything there is about the business world, and that they can just go and be photographers, and it always fails. I mean, I'd love to say there's the odd success story, but I don't know one. I can tell you hundreds who failed, but I can't tell you one who succeeded when they left too early. So I was very aware back then that I wasn't really ready to run a business as such. I felt I had a good understanding of how it worked, but that didn't mean I knew how to run it or to make the big decisions. And I just sort of thought, well, do you know what? I could potentially do this. And I met my partner, Steve, around this time as well. And he had a studio up north. And I don't know, the planets aligned, I suppose, because it was just one of those things where it just made sense. It made sense to try. And I quit my job, left my previous life, I suppose, and my house and everything that I had. And I decided that it was going to be time to give this a try. And I thought, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to look like I know what I'm doing. And even the first business meeting we had up here about the new business, I presented a God knows how many page, 30 odd pages business plan as my proposal, expecting everyone to have their proposal. And Steve just rocked up and was like, oh, okay. And he should have known by that point that I wasn't going to be a normal person to deal with, to go into business with. So I moved up and changed things, and it was absolutely terrifying. I did have a little bit of a thought in my head that if I needed to, I could go back. I could go back down south, and I could go back to what life was before. And that's probably not true. On reflection, I probably couldn't go back. I probably wouldn't have been able to go back to exact same. But I use this in my head to get me through taking the leap of faith, because I always thought, well, if it doesn't work, something else will. And it was just the sort of this security, I suppose, to this mentality to go through, right, okay, well, let's give this a go. If it doesn't work, something else will work. And it didn't feel nearly as scary when I just did it. And looking back now, I mean, the idea right now of quitting everything, moving to a new place, starting a brand new business with a clientele, let alone a county I didn't know, is insane. That would terrify me, and I'd hate to do it. I've got no interest in that whatsoever. And I don't even think I had interest in it then. I think it was just the right thing to do, and it was the right time to do it. And it's difficult when we're forced with those decisions, because, I mean, from everyone listening here, I know I've got professionals as well as hobbyists who listen to these. And if you're a hobbyist, taking that leap to actually start doing photography, maybe as a full-time job, or maybe even just to start charging for your work is big enough. And taking that leap is terrifying. But yeah, I think that sometimes you can look back and you think, bloody hell, I did that. Like, that actually happened. And from a professional point of view, I think one of the biggest things that when we take leaps to do is pushing ourselves out of our creative comfort zone. I don't mean when we do work we shouldn't, because it's quite a thing with photographers that, you know, if you're a commercial photographer and you get asked to do a wedding, you might be perfectly capable of doing a wedding, I suppose. But if it's not your thing, we should all say no to doing it. Same as if someone asked me to photograph products, I'm not equipped for that. I can understand the lighting, I can understand quite a lot about it, but it's not my thing. It's not my natural talent, my natural instinct. My instinct is for people and faces and portraits. So really, it's I think knowing our strengths and sticking to what we know we're good at. However, what I do mean by taking that leap is pushing something that's outside what you already know. A lot of photographers we find have a style that they stick to. And having a style, this is something I can go into for hours, but having a style and shooting the same setup every single day is not the same thing. Having a style is something that can be identified through multiple different genres and shoots and lighting techniques and different things. It's not doing the same lighting again and again. So something I can definitely go into at a different time. But it's, I think when you're taking a leap of faith, and we're talking about taking a leap of faith, it is taking a leap to push yourself out of your comfort zone within your realm of knowledge. For me, That would be things like high key photography. I'm a portrait photographer, so we can do high key. There's nothing, it's not specific to any other type of genre, but doing high key is not my comfort zone. But if I had someone come along and that's what they wanted for their shoot, and it was important to them, and it wasn't something I didn't want to do, then yeah, absolutely, I would do it. But I would need to understand the techniques. So yeah, it's just one of those things that when you take a leap of faith, you've sometimes got to do that as with a bit of a push. One of my favorite quotes, so profound, is, if you're scared, do it scared. And that works, because if you are terrified, if you are scared to do something, you can still do the thing, but you just do it while you're scared. You just do it, and you still get the thing done. And I would love to say that I've heard that quote from some fantastic lecturer or something like that, but I heard that quote from Will Smith, so on some program. But it doesn't matter where we get our inspiration from, as long as we get inspired. And at least I'm honest, and I've told you where I got it from. So yeah, that's something that sticks with me. If you're scared, do it scared. Just do the thing. Do whatever it is you're wanting to do. Just be scared while you do it. Absolutely fine. It makes us human at the end of the day, doesn't it? So I'm going to wrap this one up, but I think I wanted to just talk about taking that leap of faith, and hopefully, if there's something you can think of right now that is holding you back, or something you really want to do, a leap of faith you want to take, well, let's just do it. Make a pact. It's early in the year, so you can still call it a New Year's resolution. Not that anyone ever sticks to those. In fact, I think titling something a New Year's resolution is almost signing off as it doomed to never work anyway. But do something tomorrow that's going to take that step towards taking that leap. That's all you need to do. Take one little step towards it. And, if you're scared, do it scared. It's the only way we're going to carry on creating, isn't it? So, finishing up this podcast, this has been Carry On Creating. My name is Stephanie Thornton, and thanks for listening to me ramble. If you have listened to me ramble, if you left earlier, then whatever, I don't care anyway. And I will talk to you guys soon.